Hello, everybody. Sorry for the delay. I had some technical audio issues, technical difficulties, but we're here now. We're here. It's Flute Friday. I'm so excited about today. We have lots of fun things going on. My mind is in a million different places because we have a million different things going on. But I hope you're having a lovely week. It's been an interesting week. It's kind of gloomy today here in Long Beach, but we've got some beautiful flute music and some fun stories and some giveaways, some prizes. So make sure you say hello on the chat. I know there's some people there, so say hello. Let me know who's here. I know Sandy Kip Isles is here today. I'm sure my mom is there. She better be, right? And yeah, I hope you'll join me. Please say hello so I can say hi. And we can get this started here. Whoops, not ready yet. I don't have my flute in my hand. There's Damien. Hi, Damien. How are you doing? We haven't talked in a while. Damien, I'll probably talk about you today a little bit. Oh, and Sarah Andon. Hi, Sarah. Nice to see you. Thanks for showing up. Yeah, so keep saying hello. Stay tuned for some giveaways and fun stuff. And here we go. My first piece is Tambourine. This is published by Last Resort Music, arranged by Dan Kelly. And he was kind enough to play the piano for me, so I didn't have to play with Smart Music. And I have his piano accompaniment. Oh, hi, Rachel. How are you? Nice to see you. Thanks for stopping by. All right, here we go. So I'm still trying to catch my breath from my technical audio difficulties there. It wouldn't start. Thanks for coming by. Hi, Jenny. I was just by your house today. Hi, Kelly. Wonderful. Awesome. Welcome, everybody. And Terry. Awesome. Fantastic. Nice to see you guys. That was Tambourine. This is one of my favorite pieces to teach. I love the look on my students' faces when they see all the black notes and they think they can't play them. So, and then to get them through that process and be able to get them to play is really, really fun. So this is in a book, 30 pieces, 30 intermediate solos. We're going to hear some more pieces from that as well. The next piece is, let's see here, also from the same book, but this is a little bit of a different version. So this 30 pieces that I'm playing out of, the 30 intermediate solos, for 30 solos for the intermediate flutist, is one of my favorite teaching books, and it has that tambourine in it, and it also has this next piece, the Serenade by Schubert. But the version I'm going to play is actually written for flute quartet, and again, also published by Last Resort Music and arranged by Dan Kelly, and all the flute parts are played by myself, so you'll hear myself playing along with myself, me playing along with myself. Let's see here. Oh, technical difficulties. I'm sure everybody has a technical difficulty story from the last couple months as we've all embraced this new technology. But I hope that you can all hear me well. Let me know if there's any sound things. I had to change some things at the very last minute, so hopefully everything is okay. So this is a lovely piece, Serenade by Schubert. I love it because I get to play all the flute parts. It's a really beautiful flute quartet arrangement. And after the concert today, you'll be able to get the second, third, and fourth parts available on YouTube, so you can play along. So all you have to do is buy this music from Last Resort Music, and you can do your own concert at home. So here you go, Serenade by Schubert. Let me just double check my volumes here. So there you have that wonderful, wonderful quartet arrangement of the Schubert. And again, on my YouTube channel, after today's concert, you'll be able to get a copy or a recording of the other parts to play along with. So you can play along with that at home. Let's see here. So here we have time for my first giveaway. So since those first two pieces were from the 30 solos for the intermediate flutist right here, I have a copy. It's the flute part and the piano part. It's great for all flute players. If you're a beginner flute player, you'll grow into it. If you're an advanced flute player, you'll love it anyways because it has all the great things in it and you can teach it to your students. So the trivia question for this, so you're gonna have to get ready. Get at your keyboards, get ready to type, and I'll just take the first answer that I see here, okay? So let's see, and hopefully we have some people from Canada. Hopefully you don't guess fast and I have to mail it to Canada, and I don't know how to do that. But I'll figure it out. If you win, I'll figure it out, I promise. So, okay, the question is, are you ready? Here's your trivia. For one copy of the 30 solos for the intermediate flutist, the trivia is, what does Rimsky-Korsakov's Scheherazade have in common with a major Disney hit of not only 1992, but 2019? What does it have in common? So we've got Scheherazade, which, by the way, the theme from Scheherazade is in this book. You can enjoy and you can play along with that. But Scheherazade was written by Rimsky-Korsakov, and it has something in common with a Disney movie from 1992, and then there was also the same movie came out in 2019. So let's see if anybody knows what those two things have in common. I don't see anybody typing. Either I stumped you all, or you're slow typers, or there's a really huge delay in everything. I don't know. I guess I get to keep it. Well, I'm glad I don't have to mail it to Canada, because I'm sure I could figure that out. No? All right, let's see. We lost them. All right, well, I'm going to bring on my guests while we wait for your answers here. So let's see here. Let's bring on Sandy Kip. Oh, she's telling me there's a big delay, so maybe it just takes a while for Facebook to register. I know my friends were playing trivia on Instagram Live, and they were getting the answers in, and it did take a little bit, but I guess I'm not that patient. So while we wait for your answers, again, what does this Scheherazade have in common? Story of Aladdin, well, that's the name of the movie, but Aladdin is also Oh, see, now I should have been giving hints the whole time. Aladdin is the movie, yes. What does Aladdin have in common with Scheherazade? If I don't get it in the next couple minutes, though, I will give it to you. A Shahid. Where are you from? Tell me, please, you're close. Just kidding. Anyways, okay, so there we have 30 pieces. Let's see if anybody can get it while I bring on my special guest, Sandy Kipps Isles. I am so excited to have her today. Let me bring her on here. Let's see. Hello, Sandy. Oh, you know him. Let's see.
Hi, Annie.
Hi, let me add you.
Of course I know Shahid.
Fantastic. Well,
everybody should know Shahid.
He's very, very close. He's very, very close to the answer here. Let's see. Now we're on split screen, so everybody can see us.
Oh, can you see me okay?
I can.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, Shahid is awesome. He did his undergraduate work at Cal State Northridge, and he's getting his master's at Cal Arts. He is a fantastic flute player and a wonderful human being, so I hope he wins the prize.
He is fantastic, and he's on the right track. So it is the movie is Aladdin, so he's on the right track, but Aladdin and Scheherazade are both based on something, and we'll see if they can come up with that as I tell my next stories here. The reason I'm so excited about 30 Pieces and having Sandy here is I love 30 Pieces so much, 30 Intermediate Solos. I love that book so much that I actually decided to record the entire album. And when I went to do that, I felt like I needed a really good set of ears on the other side of the microphone listening to me. And that's when I asked Sandy Kipps Isles to be my producer, session producer. And so she was in there the entire time listening to me with a very astute ear, helping me get things exactly as she knew I would want them to be. And I think
I like how you say astute ear and not picky ear.
Well, yes, you were because everything that you brought to it was very academic and correct, and just making sure I wanted to record them in a way that you would teach your student to play it. And sometimes when you're playing, you get busy and distracted, and it doesn't come out that way. So you helped me do that as well. And we also did that with 40 Pieces as well. Do you remember doing that one?
Oh, yeah, those were fun. Totally fun. Oh, my goodness.
Do you have any memories from either one of those sessions, the 30 Pieces or 40 Pieces?
Oh, my gosh. Well, I love working with Matt Snyder as an engineer. He's fantastic. And I think we recorded both at his studio in Burbank. Is that right?
That
did
is.
You both of them there?
Yes, we did, yeah.
So that's just really fun, because he and I went to college together. So it was kind of like hanging out with an old college buddy. And one of the studios, I think it was the studio before what he has now, you were in a room that was upstairs.
Right.
And the booth was across the hall downstairs. And I loved the running back and forth.
I do remember
when
that.
we needed to, sometimes we could just tell you things over the mic, but sometimes I'd say, wait, let me go show her what I mean. I'd run out of the booth, run across the hall, run up the stairs, open the door, tell you something really silly, go out of the room, go down the stairs, run away. I got a lot of exercise doing those CDs.
I do remember that, and I do remember if I went down to listen to something, and I had to walk back up the stairs, and they're like, "Are you ready?" I'm like, "No, wait."
Oh, you were out of breath.
Like, catch your breath. And then I'm gonna
He isn't like that now. He's built another new studio that is unbelievable. But anyway, there were a lot of great memories from doing those. That's something that comes to mind.
Yeah, and so we did get we got a correct answer. Baltazar said from 1001 Nights, but that's kind of correct. It is from Arabian, which is Arabian Nights. So I've got like three, I don't know. I'm gonna have to go to legal on this one to see who wins. Baltazar said from 1001 Nights, and then Serial says from 1001 Arabian Nights, and the answer is that it's based on the book of Arabian Nights.
Oh my gosh.
That's a tough one.
Can they all win?
I don't know. I'll have to talk to Last Resort and see if I can get a couple more copies. Well, I'll be in touch with all of you.
I'll pay for them. I think they all deserve it.
That's right. That's awesome. All right, so this will go to somebody. Legal's gonna be telling me who gets the book there. All right, are you? I have no idea. This is hard. Okay, so let's see. We talked about recording both of these albums. Here, I'm gonna put them on screen so you can see them instead of me holding them. So I've recorded both 40 Pieces and 30 solos for the intermediate flutist. Sandy Kipps Isles was my producer for both of them, and they're great albums for beginning students, young students, or even if you just love some of the flute repertoire, Mozart, Schubert, Beethoven. You've heard already some more Schubert. You're going to hear some Chopin. all the classics are on these albums. I had a lot of fun recording them. The artwork on here is by Mainrad Bredis. I'll be sure to post something and tag him in that later. Let's see, I'm going to go back to Sandy. You're back on screen, just so you know. so we've got both of these albums. Let's see, should we give these away?
Sure, why not?
I think we should give them away. It might take you guys 10 minutes to give an answer, but this one's easier, I promise. So just start typing in numbers now, because I would like to know how old I was when I started playing the flute. Now, how old were you when you started playing the flute?
I was 12.
12,
which is old for
Yeah.
a lot of people. My father played piano, my brother had played tuba. It was assumed that we would be in the band, but I was going to be a lawyer and write children's stories. That was my life goal. So I just joined in band in junior high when I was 12.
And when did you start taking private lessons?
Ooh, boy, that's a good question. Not seriously until college. I took some lessons in high school with a really wonderful woman who played some flute. She danced, she did choreography. She was a very artistically talented woman. And I learned some really neat things from her. In fact, how to go out and do gigs, and we did concerts together and stuff. But I didn't really do any serious work until I was in college, actually.
Yeah. Well, look where you ended up. A master of the flute. I love it. Balthazar says I was 9. I was older than 9. So older than that. Younger than 20, but older than 9. But I also was kind of a late starter. I started in the 6th grade in band, and just, they tried to switch me to oboe because I had some sort of ability, I guess, and my mom made me quit because she said the ducks were knocking at the door when I played the oboe, so...
Oh, how funny. Any regrets about that? Do you wish you would stick with oboe?
The reeds. I have all the love and respect in the world for the oboe players of the world and the bassoonists who make their reeds, right? It's just...
Oh, yeah.
No, thank you. Carolyn, I was younger than 12, so between 9 and 12. We see some 9s, we see some 10s. Nope, I wasn't 9, 10, or 12, so... 11! Shahid! At least he wins the CDs.
Good Shahid! Good for you!
Well, maybe that'll make Legal's job a little earlier, a little easier later, right? Because then they can give him that and somebody else a book.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, yes, I was 11. We have a winner. Shahid is right. It's 11. Awesome. Okay, so what are we playing next?
I think you're going to do Syrinx.
Oh, yeah, let's do that. I lost it. Okay, so I'm going to let Sandy introduce Syrinx for me while I get set up. So, Sandy, I'm going to put you on full screen all by yourself.
Oh, my goodness.
Take it away.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about Syrinx, and I'm going to guess that most of you are familiar with the piece and probably know the history of it and probably know the story. But just in case there's a few people out there who don't, I thought I would talk about it. I'm certainly not a music historian, so if I say something that someone thinks isn't quite right, let me know. I first studied this piece, I think, when I was a freshman in college, and in fact, I didn't like it at all the first time I heard it. And the reason was, the first time I heard it in concert, the person didn't talk about the story. They didn't say anything about it. And I just thought it was this weird, ugly piece that sounded like, ugh. Then I heard the story, and then everything made sense. So, Jen, you cut me off anytime you want to, but I'll just kind of go through a couple of things really quickly. So it was written in 1913, of course, by Claude Debussy. It is open to countless interpretations. And one thing that I think is interesting is that when Debussy first wrote it, it's thought that he wrote it without any bar lines at all. And the implication was that it could be very free and very up to interpretation. But Marcel Moïse, who I think premiered it, is thought to have put the bar lines in, and it's Marcel Moïse's edition that is usually published today. And when I first learned it, I bring this up because interpretation has changed just throughout my lifetime. When I first learned it, at least the teacher that I had at the time had us play very strict, with very little freedom, very little. She said you have to be able to tell the story within a pretty steady beat. And nowadays, we're much more free with it, which I think is a lot more fun and probably a little bit more of what Debussy wanted. So obviously there's two characters in the story. And again, if you don't know the story, and if you're not willing to try and tell the story with your flute, don't play the piece. because it's not about the notes. It's really about the story. So there's Pan, who was a minor Greek god in mythology. He was a god of flocks and nature and pastures and shepherds. And then there was Syrinx, who was a nymph. And nymphs were not gods or goddesses. They were thought of as like physical personifications of nature. There were river nymphs and mountain nymphs. They were not immortal, but they lived a very long time. Pan fell in love or infatuation with Syrinx and basically stalked her. If there was a movie today, he would be a stalker. And he chased her and was always trying to make her love him. And one of the times that she was trying to escape from him, she ran out of the forest along the riverbank and asked the river nymphs to help her, to hide her. So they turned her into those little hollow reeds that grow along the river. And when Pan burst out of the forest looking for her, he ran all over those reeds, not knowing that they were her. They all broke into little bits, and he slowly but surely realized he had just broken the love of his life, or infatuation of his life, into little bits. He collected them, strung them together, and created a panpipe. And this is the melody he played. So in theory, the melody should emote mourning and love and sorrow and lust and frustration and every kind of deep emotion that you can think of. Go for it.
That's fantastic. Thank you for doing that. That's fantastic. I will do my best to put that into Syrinx for you.
I'm sure you will.
All right, here we go. Enjoy. Thank you guys for being here today. This is really fun. I'm catching my breath after my technical difficulties and I'm starting to have more fun now. I hate it when things don't work, when you push the button that you pushed yesterday and it doesn't work, but it's all good. So we're all good. That was Syrinx. It's lovely. I just want you guys to know that I played that today because one of my friends and Flute Friday friends, Linda Hattemer, had requested it. She's seen every concert so far and she wanted to hear it, so I played it for her. Just so you know, if you guys want to make requests, they might be entertained. So here we have their next piece. This is another one from those intermediate solo book, the intermediate 30 pieces. Let's hear. Oops, that's the serenade. Sorry, my computer fell asleep. Let's wake it back up. This is the Chopin Nocturne, which is one of my favorite pieces, and I think it's one of those pieces that made me wish that I always played piano. I used to teach music appreciation, and I just loved this piece, and I loved teaching the students about rubato and how everything had been so strict in the Baroque and classical era, da 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 da, and all of a sudden, you know, it changed. Music changed. It had more room to breathe. It had more room to ebb and flow. And this is just such a great example of that. That's what I would use for my students. So I'm going to play it today. Again, this is arranged by Daniel Kelly. It can be found in the 30 Intermediate Solos, published by Last Resort Music. And again, he was kind enough to record the piano part for me today, so I'm playing with his piano part pre-recorded. Thank you, Daniel, for playing that for me. That was amazing to have a pianist with some feeling in it rather than just the smart music. I'm going to bring back Sandy again. Welcome back, Sandy. Hi.
Hello. That was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
There's nowhere to breathe in that one, is there?
No, there isn't. I remember having a discussion with a student of mine years ago about playing Chopin, and she thought that the rubato was pushing and pulling whenever she wanted to. And it was a really interesting conversation, and I had to explain, well, no, you have to study the music and figure out where the music wants to go faster and where the music wants to pull back. And she says, but I don't want to go faster there. I said, but it does.
Right.
It was a very interesting conversation about rubato, of understanding the music and figuring that out.
I can imagine. Well, there you go. So I wonder if she would, if she were looking back on her teachers, if she would use that as her famous information from you, like her to teach to her students. Well, my teacher Sandy said that I should do rubato where it says.
Wonder.
So
you wonder.
Yeah, definitely. So do you have anything from any of your teachers that you like to pass on, or things that really stick in your head that you always try to impart upon your students?
Oh my goodness, there's so many things. There are so many things, and I've been so lucky and had so many amazing teachers. I can think of, and I don't always remember exactly who said what, but I remember one thing that Jeffrey Gilbert, I did a lot of the summer week-long master classes that he did in Boulder, and if anyone went to East Redlands, Boulder, Minnesota, that was really fun. But one thing that he used to say, there was one time somebody was playing Mozart G, first movement, and she was having some problems, and he was such a gentleman. He was not ever anything but a gentleman, but he stopped her, and he asked her to play a 2-octave G major scale. And she struggled. Mm-hmm. It wasn't that clean. It wasn't that even. She played the right notes, but she didn't really have control over it. And he very nicely said, you have no right to play this piece. And of course everyone went, oh, because he was not someone that would talk like that. But he went on to explain that you have to have the basics, the fundamental basics that a piece requires before you can really dive into a piece and get to what really matters, which is the interpretation and the phrasing and the intent of the composer. And that always really, really stuck with me. So with a lot of my students, and my students that are listening will recognize this, I'll often have them look at a piece and make a list of all the fundamental technical requirements that are needed for that piece. Chaminade, for example, you have to be able to play a really good chromatic scale. You have to have some triple tonguing, some double tonguing. You have to be able to, just going through that whole list and making sure that you really work on those fundamentals instead of working on the fundamentals while you're working on the piece. Because then you miss the whole point of it. The composer didn't write it as an exercise. He wrote it as an artistic creation. So that was something that really stuck with me. What about you? What things stuck in your mind?
I knew you were going to ask me that, and I've been thinking about it all week, and it's interesting. I don't really feel like I have words of wisdom from the people I've studied with, because I've had such great teachers as well, but just I feel like it's more of a feeling, like the encouragement and the dedication and the love for flute is what I really feel like I got from my teachers. I mean, I could do the homework, I could do the technique, I could spend the hours doing etudes and whatnot, but when I would go to my lessons, either with Jim Walker or with Carol Scott or Carol Romans, or I studied with Dave Shostak a little bit, they just love the instrument. And, just finding your voice and finding a way to express yourself through the instrument, I think is really my best advice for my students. So, yeah.
I think it's great. Well, I'll give you one other one. Anyone that takes lessons at Cal State Northridge that uses room 218 will see a little poster that I put up there that says, always practice technique with musical intent. And I love that concept because when you're practicing scales and thirds and arpeggios, if you always do it with tone, with direction, musicality, good intonation, then when you have technical passages in your pieces, you will also play them with good tone, good flexibility, good intonation, because that's how you always played your scales. If you play scales without any thought, tone, forward motion, expression, it's really easy to go have that be your default setting when you then have technical passages and solos. So I think that actually saves you time later and makes scales more interesting.
Right. So don't practice your scales while you're on your phone, people. Turn your phone off and play your scales.
I've never even thought to do. Now I'm going to try that.
Right? Well, because a friend of ours, a very close friend of both of ours, I know watches sports while she practices.
Well, a good friend of mine,
which we all do.
I know. Okay, Diana Yao, if you happen to be out there, she was a bassoonist in college. She used to tell me that she sometimes would put on Gilligan's Island when she would practice her scales. So I have to admit, occasionally, I will put the TV on, I will mute the TV, but I'll put on closed caption, and I'll practice some of my technical studies. And even though it's not Gilligan's Island, I call it practicing during Gilligan's Island. No, but I am listening to my tone, my intonation, my musicality.
There you go. We can multitask.
Multitask.
Music takes a lot of different levels of the brain, so we need to keep them all engaged at the same time.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go. I'm doing mental gymnastics.
That's right. I saved us all. Now, you recommended, I don't know if you recommended this, but I have another giveaway. Should we do another? So you guys ready to type? Are you ready to type? This is a good one. I don't know if she recommended Name That Tune or if I came up with Name That Tune and she came up with the piece, but let me show you first your prizes so you know what you're going for. These are my 2 solo albums, Jenny Scott and Dreams of Birds. I know I'm now Jenny Olson, but I was Jenny Scott once. And the lovely artwork on there is by my dear friend Juan Carlos, who said hello earlier, so I don't know if he's still here, but there's your artwork, and you've seen that flute painting on a lot of my promo stuff. I use it all the time. He painted that for me. Gosh, that must have been 2006 that album was done. That was my very first solo album. It was a lot of fun. One of Daniel Kelly's pieces is on there. I played his suite for piccolo and piano, and he played piano for me on there. Let's see, Bear McCreary wrote me a piece on that one. I made Damien play Bachianas Brasileiras on that one. Lots of fun stuff on there. And then, of course, Dreams of Birds I did in 2012. And this is a really fun album because it's all Premier recordings. A lot of them were written for me. Yo Horsley, I saw was on here early. He wrote me a piece for bass flute. That's on there. Bear McCreary wrote me a piece. Dan Kelly has a flute piece on there that he didn't write for me, but it was the first recording of that. Lots of really, really great music. Damien wrote the Dragonfly piece. If you were here a couple weeks ago, he was my composer. So that's all on there. So let's see here. So for this giveaway, you get both of these albums, 2 solo albums, some music you've probably never heard before, never ever been recorded before, never since, is Name That Tune. Now, we know that the delay is serious, so I'm going to just see if you can get it with this, and legal will tell me who gets it first. Okay, so here we go. See if you can get it with just as much. Do you think that's enough, Sandy?
I know what it is.
I know it is. Some people probably can get it on that for sure. So let me play it for you again. But if you haven't gotten it by now, then let me just play a little more for you just in case. Do I need to play more? Probably more.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Huh?
I think that's good.
oh, we got it. Stephen Cruz got it. Mary, well, close. I think that your spell check turned Figaro into Tegard, but yes, you got it. Yeah, you got it.
Shout out to Stephen Cruz.
Yay! All right, Stephen, you're going to get both these albums. I'll be in touch with you to figure out how to get them to you. But those are yours. They'll be coming soon. Congratulations. Oh, and then Jackie got it as well. Hi, Jackie. So there we have that. Art by Juan Carlos. Name That Tune. That was good. That was good. That was your idea, Sandy. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome.
This has been such a fun project. All of these pieces I love, and there's one piece that I've always wanted to play, and it worked really well for this idea of like trying to play without actually having someone here, and that's this piccolo piece called Passage by Daniel Kelly. He's done all the arrangements of the stuff that I've done, and he played piano on this for me, and you can also now get the digital piano part. Like if you buy this piece and you want to go on Last Resort's website, they have the digital piano part, so you can also play this at home by yourself, which is really cool. But I'm going to let Sandy introduce Passage while I get my piccolo.
Sure, it'll be my pleasure. Well, first off, I'm sure you all know Daniel Kelly, but a shout out to Daniel Kelly and people like him that are so friggin' multi-talented, it cracks me up. So many of you know Dan probably as an incredible French horn player. He's also an incredible pianist, as you can see as he's recording stuff for Jenny. He's a great composer, and an amazing arranger, but my favorite skill of Daniel's is his cookie baking. If you've never had any of Daniel's cookies, sorry, you're missing out. So what I'm going to read is what is on the CD about this piece, Passage for Piccolo and Piano. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous piece, and a wonderful addition to solo piccolo repertoire, with piano, but piccolo repertoire. This is what's written. I'm going to put on my little glasses so I can read it. Passage for Piccolo and Piano was written in 1992 for Dan's sister, Joyce Kelly, who was completing a degree in flute performance at UCLA with Sheridan Stokes. Shout out Sheridan Stokes. She asked for a piece that was brief, engaging, and fun. Over the following 2 decades, Joyce's wishes have helped Passage become a favorite among piccolo players, both for recitals and performances. It's been recorded several times, and there's some really beautiful recordings on YouTube of it. And it's become a favorite among many piccolo players, both for recitals and performances. This was great. It was also a finalist in the National Flute Association's newly published music competition. So that's fantastic. I'll just point out one thing I love about when I was listening to this piece again is we were talking about making sure that you have fundamentals to bring to a piece. But that's not to say that there aren't pieces that will inspire us to work on fundamentals, which I guess is really, it's kind of a similar thing. But listening to this, you really have to think of the piccolo as a beautiful lyrical instrument. You have to have control over tone, over intonation, over flexibility, over dynamics to play it as well as I know you're going to play it. I think it's a really great inspiration to have control over your instrument so that you can just be musical and artistic. So, Passage for Piccolo and Piano by Daniel Kelly.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sandy. Thank you. Let's see here. There we go. That's not Passage. That's the Chopin. That's not right. Here we go. right. Thank you, Daniel Kelly, so much for trusting with me with your music over and over and over again, letting me play. I love it. I love it. It's been so much fun. That piece has been really fun to practice with. If you like that piece, again, it's available on Last Resort Music. You can get the piano part as well. So you can, yes, you need to buy this for your library, Stephen. Yes, everybody needs to have it. It's lovely. It comes in, oh, and it comes with the suite for piccolo and piano as well, which is on my album that Stephen's gonna get. So perfect. So you'll have both, and you can listen to that as well. It's really a lovely piece. There's a reason it's played a lot. Oh, it gives me goosebumps. It's so much fun to play. So let's see. Yeah. So let's move on to back to some flute choir music. I have this project which I've started where I am recording all of these flute quartets and flute choir pieces for you guys, for flute players, and for other people just to listen to and enjoy. Oops, I'm sorry, Sandy, you're on there. I'm taking you off. There you go. So I want you guys to be able to play along. So if you don't have an alto flute or a bass flute, or you don't have 3 other flute players that want to play with you, you can play these songs on YouTube. So it's on my YouTube channel. Everything I play today, flute quartet-wise, will be released at 6 p.m. Pacific time, so it'll be available after the concert. And this is one of the pieces. This is the Queen of the Night, again, published by Last Resort Music. It's by Mozart. Daniel's arrangement of it. I had an absolute joy recording this one. I feel like he picked a great key for representing the Queen of the Night aria in the Magic Flute. And one of my trivia questions was going to be, what's the highest note that the soprano sings in the Queen of the Night? So if anybody knows that, I don't have a prize for it, but you could tell me. And I'll tell you at the end here. Let's see, Queen of the Night. So again, this is on YouTube with me playing 2, 3, and 4, and you can play the first part, and you can get the music from Last Resort. Get back into flute land here. Hope you enjoy the Queen of the Night. Oh, let me make sure. I always have to double check my volume settings here. Yes, we should be good. It's just so fun. Yes, high F, you're all right. It's a high F. And I want you to know I can sing a high F. I won't do it, but I can, just so you know.
Oh, come on, please do it.
I don't know if I'm warmed up. I have to do little vocal exercises. So I think that's a whole nother Facebook Live. But I just love that piece there. So fun. And again, you can play that. It'll be released in about 10 minutes on my YouTube page. So there you go. This next one is also from a quartet arrangement by Dan Kelly, Last Resort Music. I've said that about 1,000 times, but you should all know it because there's great stuff there. And this piece is Nimrod from Enigma Variations. And it's funny, Sandy was saying earlier how the first time she played the Syrinx, that she didn't like it. She was like, this is ugly or whatever. Didn't really get it until she knew the story. And I will say that the first time I played Nimrod, I was like, oh my goodness, this piece is so boring. So boring. I was like, is it over yet? And it's like, we just rehearsed it. Now, granted, I was in youth orchestra. We probably weren't very good, and we couldn't play together. I think that was part of it, because there's got to be a lot of ensemble, and it took a long time before I could really, appreciate the chords and the structure and how things kind of put together and the energy. And anyways, now I love this piece. It's really, really beautiful. I hope you enjoy it. I've put it on to YouTube minus the first part, but to get you into it so you don't have to have a count off, I played the first bar and a half for you here, and then I'll join in. So you'll see how that would work if you were going to play it by yourself at home. So enjoy Nimrod. I hope you are not bored like I was when I was young. I think you'll appreciate it, hopefully. Here we go. So I hope you enjoyed that. Yay! Let me bring back Sandy to the playground here.
That was gorgeous.
Isn't that beautiful? A beautiful arrangement.
It's really beautiful. But when I was young, I would have thought the same thing. When I was a kid, I would have just said, "Oh, this is boring." It's funny as you get older, you appreciate melody and harmony in a different way. I do agree, though, with Shelby Hoover, who thinks you need a clap track.
I know, right?
Because you finish playing these beautiful pieces, and then there's silence, and at home we're all screaming and yelling, but you can't hear us.
Right. Oh, I found that the same way the other day. My students had a recital on Zoom, and I was like so quick to like hit the unmute and clap as loud as I could in front of the thing. But you can't do that on Facebook Live. I know that was one of the challenging things of these recitals, and we talked about it, like playing, and then all of a sudden here we are, we're talking. There's no chance to like regroup, and plus your tech support, your lighting, your sound, you're in charge of the temperature, you're everything.
It's so true. You're the producer of the whole show and the artistic talent.
Totally. Well, we've got some fun stuff now because not only did Sandy produce some albums, but we also made an album together. Are you ready for this, people? Let me show you this. So we did a Christmas album. We are the Sterling Duo, and we made a Christmas album with our friends. So we've got Christmas album, and I also have another one, Christmas Favorites, with Alison Bjorkedal. She's on both albums. So flute and harp, and then flute and string quartet and harp, which you can see in the pictures there. So we have these Christmas albums that we made, and I'm going to show them some pictures. Can I show them some pictures from our session?
Oh, you have to, because we got a little silly.
Now, people, if you've never recorded a Christmas album, you don't realize that you have to do them in June. Because
it was summer. It was hot. Let's point out. Let's see. On cello we have Steve Velez.
Yes.
And on viola we have Andrew Duckles. And again, that was done at Matt Snyder's recording studio.
And this was done at the new studio, so we didn't have to run up and down the stairs here. This is
true.
Yes, so this was beautiful. But you can see you brought us lovely Christmas things to wear. We've got hats. We've got jackets. We've got.
I think my students will be so surprised that I actually brought props to a recording session.
I'm sure. So there we are smiling, and then I've got us in action. So we actually played in action there. Yes, there are 2 piccolos at a time on the album, and we sound fantastic. So you should all check it out. And then I'm pulling up now a picture of us, just a group shot there with our gear. Andrew's got his Santa hat on. Steve's got some candy canes. You've got some elf ears. I've got a hat that looks lovely, and a scarf in June, which is what everybody needs. And then you don't want to forget this guy here. I've got a picture of Alex plugging his ears.
Oh yeah, so my husband Alex Isles was one of the session producers on all of these recording sessions, and oh my goodness, what is this?
So here he is plugging his ears because he was in there. It was just a joke. Of course, he loves our piccolo playing, but anytime you say 2 piccolos to a trombone player or really anybody, they plug their ears, and that's what they do.
Pretty much.
But I think it went great. So I think we have one more giveaway. Shall we give away our album? It's not
great.
Christmas.
You know, one thing I'll tell you that I think you mentioned this to me too is I had so much fun recording that with you, but when I listen to it now, I can't tell what part I'm on because we switched back and forth a lot.
Again, Dan Kelly's arrangement.
Sometimes you played first, sometimes I played first. I playing half the time. It's really fun. I think we learned to blend that well playing in Long Beach Symphony for years together when I was like up to 7 there. I can't tell who's who. It's really funny.
I agree. The way that the arrangements are written, they pass back and forth, so it's not one person always playing the melody and the other person just sitting there. So we do switch back a lot. And again, Dan Kelly arrangements, Last Resort Music, if you're interested, both of these albums. But yeah, we used to play in Long Beach all the time together, and so it's easy. It's really easy to play with you. It's really fun. So I'm happy with that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, let's give some of those CDs away.
Yes, let's give. Okay, so this is another question. Do you have did you come up with a question? I didn't. I don't think you did. Did you?
Oh, I did not.
That's okay. I'm gonna go with this. Do you have one? You can have one. Mine's not very exciting.
Let's go with yours.
Okay.
I'm sure it's very exciting.
It's very exciting. I know this is a question I get a lot when I do kiddie concerts or whatever, educational concerts. People want to know how many flutes I own. So start your guessing. Now, to be clear, I have a whole array of pan flutes and penny whistles and blah, blah, blahs. So we're not going to count those. We're going to count flutes. We're going to count piccolos, alto flutes, and bass flutes. So those 4 kinds of things of instruments. So, otherwise I think, they come in all different keys. And how do you count one that has a head joint? Do you count the whole thing? Or do you count the one that has a head joint that switches? Is that 1 or 7? So we're going to stick with main instruments here. Main instruments. How many flutes do you think you have, Sandy? I had to think about
good
it.
question. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
7. Including all
Unless I'm forgetting something, I think I have 7.
And then do you have any extra head joints or anything?
Yeah, I do. Maybe 3 extra flute head joints and 2 extra piccolo head joints,
So
I think.
count those. I don't know. Allison says 947. That's a few too many. 6. It's bigger than 6. It's bigger than 8. We've got some numbers coming in though. This is exciting. I'm so excited.
Hi, Allison Cook.
Yeah.
Shout out to Allison Cook. Woohoo!
Yay! Oh nope, not 8, not 6. Guessing 8. Nope, not. I see 947. 8, 6, 8, 6. Very close. Very close. A little higher.
It's in between 8 and 947.
Right.
Go for it.
Yes. Yes. Higher than 8, lower than 947. Oh my goodness. I mean, what was the first flute that you started on? Do you remember the brand? Not 12.
Armstrong.
Lower than 12. Armstrong.
It was an Armstrong, and I also had an Armstrong piccolo. And then I went to a Heritage, which I think was also made by Armstrong. I was in high school. We got a Heritage, if you remember that. But then I bought, from Susan Greenberg, I bought an Arista in my second year of college. And it was really my first professional flute, and I loved that flute. I played it for probably 15, 20 years before I went to a Powell, and now I'm with a Nagahara.
Oh, okay. Fantastic. There you go.
Jamie, what do you play?
Oh, hold on. Damien got it. Damien got it. It's number 11. I have 11. So Damien is the winner of the albums. Yay, Damien. If you don't know Damien Montano, he was my composer for week 2 of Flute Fridays. He was here. He writes brilliant music, and he's a fantastic bassoonist. And I'm glad he didn't win the album he was on, because that would be silly. For flute, I play on a Powell flute with the Yamaha head joint. And my piccolo, is a Burkhart. Think about that. Because I know that the Kellys are watching, and that just made me nervous right there, trying to remember what instrument I was on.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay, so take us back to some more music. So this is my last piece. Thank you, everybody, for coming and for playing. I'll be in touch with everybody about how to get your stuff. Hope you enjoy it. Again, if you're a flute player, or I guess if you're any sort of instrumentalist, you can play along with my flute quartet versions on YouTube. That'll be available on my YouTube channel under Play with a Pro Flute Quartet. So you can enjoy those and have your own concerts at home, or your own porch concerts. I know people are doing those a lot these days. How did your porch concert go? Did you have it?
Oh, well, thank you. We did yesterday. Shout out to Lola Park in Glendale. We put on a 40-minute porch concert. It was fantastic. Really nice crowd, really fun music, and we're gonna continue our porch concert series. So we had a blast.
Fantastic. Well, maybe I'll have to record 2 parts of a quartet and send it to you so that you guys can play a flute quartet.
Oh, do it. Please do it.
You pick the tune, I'll send it over.
All right, you got it.
All right, but I'm going to turn it back to Sandy so she can tell you about my final piece. Thank you for coming. As always, this is my gift to you guys. I hope you enjoy it. I just want to bring a little bit of music. It's fun for me to play. I love connecting with other people. This week it was Sandy, and of course Dan Kelly and I were in contact all week about his pieces and about the music, and I much appreciated to Last Resort Music and Flutatious for their support. You guys have been awesome. This is fun. Thank you for letting me, again, trusting me with your music and letting me do this. This is awesome. Glad to be here, and I hope to see you next week. If you want to donate anything to my Venmo, you can. It's Jenny Flute. It helps me just, set up, buy more music or more equipment, all that stuff. Hopefully we'll get better and better. Of course, my new equipment caused technical difficulties today, so maybe we should just stay the same. Who knows? Anyways, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a great weekend. I'm going to turn it over to Sandy. She's going to tell you all about my final piece.
Well, Jenny's final piece today, as you know, I think she mentioned earlier, is The Fantasy by Gabriel Fauré, written in 1898. Paul Toffanel was the flute instructor at the Paris Conservatory at the time, and you probably all know that at the Paris Conservatory, for most of their history, at the end of the year there was a concert piece. It was a competition, and a brand new work was written for this competition up until around, I should have looked this up. I think it was probably around 1940 1930, maybe in the late 1920s, where they started to recycle the pieces they had done. But up to that point, they had a new piece each year. And in order to actually graduate with your degree from the Paris Conservatory, you had to win first prize in this annual competition. The competition was not against each other, it was against the standards. So 10 flute players could get first prize, or nobody could get first prize. If you didn't win first prize, you didn't graduate. Jean-Pierre and Paul historically, famously graduated in 1 year because he got first prize at the end of his very first year at the Paris Conservatory. So this was from 1898, and when he wrote it and he gave it to Paul Toffanel, Fauré said, you know, if you don't like it, change it. If the technical stuff isn't good, change it. If it's too hard, change it. And that original manuscript that he gave to Paul Toffanel has been lost. So the interesting thing is we don't know if anything was really changed from the original, but as it is, it's absolutely beautiful and also can be played with orchestra. There's an orchestra accompaniment. So, Gabriel Fauré,
There we go. I did not know that there was orchestra accompaniment. Good to know. I picked it because it's one of the ones that you don't have to start and stop with smart music. So I'm back to playing with smart music, and I love this piece. This was one of the all-state pieces when I was in high school. The sections of this were part of the all-state audition. So I've been playing this since I was young, and I love it. So I hope you enjoy. Let's see. There we go. And oops. See that I did that. I put you back on there. Let me get rid of that one. Fantastic. All right, enjoy this piece. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time. right, you guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. I hope you enjoyed Flute Friday. We'll see you again. I'm going to take a couple weeks off, so I'll keep you posted. Probably back in 4 weeks. Would you like to say goodbye, Sandy? You can say goodbye if you want. She looks like she might be ready to say goodbye, so. There you go.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll say goodbye, you guys. And, hey, Jenny, since I can, let me just thank you for what you're doing. I think this is fantastic. What a great thing. It's inspiring. I can't believe you're playing live all these pieces every other week. I'm glad you're going to take a month off. I think it's fantastic, but I think it's really inspirational. So thank you for doing this.
It is fun. I mean, I started this because I wanted to play for my family and just kind of just to play. I needed to play and I wanted to connect with some composers. I wanted to promote other people. So it started with promoting Jenny Brandon and Damien, then Nick Keller and Gina Luciani last week. And then of course this week, Last Resort Music and Dan Kelly and you and yourself. So it's just been fun. I've enjoyed it. It's hard. It's a lot of work. So I appreciate everyone's support and I'll start programming the next one. So send in your requests. I'm taking requests. All right, you guys, have a great evening. Have a great weekend. And I hope you have a great Friday. Take care. Bye.